here, and welcome to another video. Today we're doing another video inside of Hermitcraft Season Clockwork. We are on episode 17, and I am going to try to read chapters 11 and 12. But right now my storage is being silly, so I don't know how that's gonna work. It was fine before, but yeah. Ugh. It's been having issues. It's weird. Just being weird. But that's not important. If you haven't read any of the other chapters, be sure you do so, because spoilers, obviously. And yeah, don't worry about the charge. That was from school. And all the stuff that I tried to do. The poor iPad. All it wants is sleep. But not giving it sleep. Chapter 11. It didn't take the three of them long to make it to Impulse's base. Pearl, noticing the other hermits had also arrived as well. She assumed Cub must have been taken inside for treatment as she landed gracefully to the ground, catching Scar as Foals let go before landing beside them. I'll assume you can take it from here, Foals said with a nod before walking over towards the group. Pearl smiled as she carried Scar towards the base, being halted for a moment as Impulse caught up to them and activated the door. Gem's aside as well. She might be able to lend you a hand after helping Cub, Impulse told her quickly. Pearl nodded her head, glad to hear that her friend was okay and that Cub was getting the care he needed, as she walked into the base and into the main room, where she could see two beds on either side of the room, near the back. One was occupied by Cub, and Gem not too far away, with the bandages in hand. Gem looked up as she heard them approach, her eyes widening with surprise. What even happened back there? I can explain later, she promised as she took Scar to the empty bed and laid him down before taking out her own box. There's a couple of cauldrons you can use, Gem added as she pointed to the left. Pearl nodded as she saw two bubbling cauldrons full of regeneration potions. Green just got someone to stack up on gas here, so we should be good with that. Set to go with that. That's good. Pearl nodded as she pulled out a spare towel and walked over to the cauldron, dipping the towel inside as it soaked up the healing effects. She lifted it out, impressed by the pink color that bled into the towel. She carried it back, dabbing it gently on some of the injuries that wouldn't work well with the bandages, such as Scar's face and smaller scratches on his arms and legs. Once the towel dried up from no use, she gently placed it aside as she grabbed the bandages and dealt with the other injuries that needed more care. Didn't take long until she got to everything, looking him up and down just to make sure. She pulled up the covers up to his chin. It's looking pretty cozy in there now, Gem said from beside her as Pearl jumped. Oh, no. You're all done already? Pearl asked, impressed. They'll both be good with some rest and food, Gem said cheerfully. Maybe that suspicious stew recipe might come in handy if we can find some daisies. I don't think that'll be too difficult, Pearl admitted calmly. Is everything all right with you, though? You look sort of tired, Gem asked simply. It's been a long day, Pearl said with a chuckle. Hey, if you need to get some sleep, that's totally fine, Gem said gently. Pulse and I can handle it. You sure? Pearl asked with mild uncertainty. Those men will think twice before attacking us again, Gem said defiantly. We got this. Besides, Devin and Xavier are also here to help. Okay, Pearl said with a laugh. Still, getting more help isn't a bad idea. I'll pass it along, Gem said cheerfully. Anything else you need to let me know? Pearl paused for a moment, hesitating as she pondered whether or not there was more to say. Not really, but Mr. Hayes had me thinking before we were brutally attacked. You saw him? Jim asked, eyes wide. Yeah, we had a pretty good few moments to chat, Pearl admitted. I just find it funny that he's doing the very things he's accusing us of. I don't think he's able to admit that or even wants to. In some ways, he's just like us. So he's not some scary, heartless monster, Jim said softly. Oh, he's very much heartless, Pearl stated. He just does what he feels is right. Which I do understand, it just doesn't make it any less bit justifiable, though. Just less terrifying. Right, Jem nodded with her head slowly. You're not scared of him, are you? Not a bit. Pearl said with a smile, though the threat still pretty real. We got this, Jem said confidently. You 3 minutes to get out of it alive, right? For now, Pearl agreed. He's relentless, though. I'm sure. Revenge is not something you just throw away randomly. Well, be sure to pass it along, Jem said happily. You get some rest. Maybe you can help us out later if you're up to it. I can see what I can do, Pearl said with a smile as she headed for the stairs, hearing Jem's footsteps fade away into the main room. As she climbed up the stairs, knowing full well her friend was right. It had been a long day and she was exhausted. Chapter 12. Pearl climbed out of the bed just as the first hints of dawn were starting to appear. She looked quickly around the spare room, which was mainly empty, apart from a few extra tables and chests. Impulse probably had to make do with what little time he had, which she appreciated. Surely was a last minute notice. She walked over to the door, hesitating as she listened, trying to see if she could catch anything out in the hallway. It was rather quiet. It wasn't necessarily a bad thing, but it did seem a tiny bit unsettling. She'd been reassured that mysterious men had disappeared, deciding to leave them alone for the time being. She knew they'd be back, but at least they'd have time to recuperate and come up with a plan and a better way to get help. She opened the door, stepping out into the empty hallway as she headed for the stairs. There were a couple of doors that were slightly open, revealing other rooms as she passed. Pearl didn't bother to take a look to see if anyone was inside, though. Unsure of what she wanted to do at the early hours of the morning, while she was sure everyone else was asleep, she climbed down the stairs, grasping the railing as she descended. It didn't take long before her feet hit the first floor as she looked into the main room, then glanced over at the kitchen. A decision finally struck her as she walked into the main room, seeing the 2 patients lying in their beds, fast asleep with two shulker boxes full of what was probably medical supplies. She walked over to the 2 sleeping YouTubers, who seemed to look a lot better than she'd last seen them. Seemed like they'd made a very quick recovery. She walked past them as she opened the chest on the other side of the room, looking through some things until she found what she needed. 2 bowls of suspicious stew, probably made ready for this very occasion. She could see the white petals of the daisies floating on the top of the mushroom stew. She placed them on a table nearby, wondering who she should awaken first, or if should wait until later in the morning. Potterings were interrupted when she heard footsteps from the hallway. Looking up just in time to see a head peek around the corner. Good morning, Pearl, Korean said with a cheerful smile. You're up early. As are you, she pointed out. I was just about to give you something to eat. You want any help, or you're good? Green asked curiously. I can handle it, she smiled sincerely. What brings you here at this early hour? Well, I just got a call from someone from the communicator. Green had been kind of had to answer, seeing as it was in my room. Makes sense. What was it about? Pearl replied quizzically. We have our escorts ready. Green nodded, his eyes glistening with what appeared to be excitement. All of ours? Pearl asked in surprise. He smiled. Oh, yeah. You, Jem, and I have some new backup, alongside with more for safety measures. That's awesome, Pearl said excitedly. So I'm guessing they're coming later today. Yep. Green replied matter-of-factly. He waved at her as he headed for the stairs. See you later, then. Later, Pearl amused as she watched him disappear, turning to the task at hand. Returning. Both. Work. Just fine. She looked in between the 2 young men before finally deciding to pick up one of the bowls as she walked over to Cub, gently shaking him awake. Where am I? Cub asked in a groggy confusion, and he slowly opened his eyes, meeting hers. Safe, Pearl assured him with a smile. I have something for you that might make you feel better. You can sit up for me? Cub nodded his head as she let him slowly sit up in bed as she handed him the bowl. Pearl watched as he cautiously picked at it, picking up one of the petals to examine it before being satisfied and consuming the contents. Thanks, Cup said, with a smile as he handed her back the empty bowl. I really feel way better than I did last night. It was crazy, wasn't it? Pearl mused as she put the bowl aside before grabbing the second one and going over to Scar, gently shaking him away. You have something for me? Scar asked curiously as he sat up in bed, without being prompted as Pearl handed him the bowl. Yep, Pearl said with a chuckle. I hear it's very tasty. I can vouch for that, Cup said cheerfully, as Pearl nodded as she watched Scar consume the contents without hesitation, handing her back the empty bowl. You two should probably get some rest. I'm sure you'll be back on your feet in no time, Pearl stated matter-of-factly. So, what now? Scar asked with a frown. Since, I've already told the right people, Pearl said gently. It's already been sorted. We're working on a plan, and hopefully it's enough. I hope so too, Cub admitted sincerely. I really don't want to go through that experience again if I don't have to. Neither do I, Scar said with a nervous laugh. That Mr. 8 guy had no hesitation. It was almost like he was trying to kill us with his minions. Pearl shook her head slowly. We just need to do our best and stick together. Shouldn't be too hard, right? Right, Scar said with a nod, lowering his head slightly with a sheepish smile. I'll leave you two to it then, Pearl finally said, as she carried the empty bowls toward the kitchen, hearing the ruffling of bed sheets as the two YouTubers crawled back into bed. She put the bowls in an empty cupboard, glancing out the window, out to the beautiful sunrise, with a smile. It was calm and peaceful, just as it should be. Yep, this is it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. What do you guys think? Did you like it? Yeah. Anyway, this is going to be the end of this video. Be sure to leave any of your comments, thoughts, theories, any of that stuff in the comments. And yeah, next time we will be moving on to story 5, which is going to be an interesting one. It's going to be both emotional and hopeful. Very hopeful. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one, whenever that might be. Goodbye.